In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw a highly accurate portrait drawing. I have sped this up in the video, but in reality this drawing took 2 hours to complete. I will show you how I went about doing all of the important stuff, like observing closely to capture shapes accurately, using a wide range of tone and marks in my shading to capture form and texture, and paying close attention to fine detail. But first, I'm going to focus on the part that so many people get wrong in their drawings, and that is proportions. I start off by lightly drawing an oval, big enough to fill the page, but small enough so that I've got some space to add hair and the body or anything else if I need to. I draw a cross precisely in the middle of the oval. The vertical line acts as a line of symmetry, and the horizontal line is where my eyes are going to go. Halfway between the eye line and the bottom of the oval, I draw a horizontal line for the nose. The mouth line is halfway between the nose line and the bottom of the oval. I divide the eye line into 5 equal fifths. This is because the width of your eye is equal to the space between your nose and the sides of your face. Well, almost. We adjust this when we draw in your face shape later. The brackets of your nostrils line up with the corners of your eyes where the tear ducts are. The corners of your mouth line up with your pupils. Your neck lines up with the corners of your eyes, and what you can't see in my photo is my ears. The tops of your ears line up with your eye line, and the bottoms of your ears line up with your nose line. I have mapped out the proportions now, so I know where everything needs to go. Everyone's faces are different and unique, I know, but everyone's eyes, nose, mouth and ears and neck all line up in the same way, even for some animals. So using the proportions of the face guideline is key for starting any portrait drawing. In the nicest way possible, this is something that everybody needs to improve on, so please do start your drawing this way. You may want to practice a couple of times just before you start your drawing. If you haven't used these guidelines before, then draw your portrait facing forward. If you have used these guidelines before and want a bit of an extra challenge, have a go at drawing your portrait from different angles and viewpoints using these proportions of the face diagrams as a guide. Have a go at sketching these out first before starting your drawing. Now that my proportions of the face guideline are in place, I can start drawing in the shapes of my eyes, nose and mouth more accurately. I need to take my time and look closely to make sure I get these right. I tend to start with the eyes first, going from the right one, then the left, then to the nose and then my mouth. I spend a short amount of time on each one first, then come back around to each feature as my drawing progresses, just to refine it even more. In the last assignment, I showed you how to do detailed drawings of the eyes, nose and mouth. If you haven't completed that assignment or watched those videos, I suggest you do so now before starting this drawing. These videos are also available on my YouTube playlist, which I have attached to this assignment. When drawing hair, you need to use directional mark making to build up tone and to show how the hair curves around the form of your face. I do this building up flicks lightly and working over the top of them, building them up to make them darker, making sure I leave a space for where I can see the lighter tones from where the light hits my face and my hair. My hair and eyes are very dark. This is why I'm shading these first. I tend to start my shading from the darkest part because I know this is going to be almost black. I can then use this to balance out the rest of my tonal range. I press down hard, but not too hard because I want to make my shading even. At this point, my shading starts to get a little scratchy and messy. I'm doing this because I can see my hair starts to get a little bit lighter because the light from the window is hitting it more and I want to show a bit of texture. I'm still being very careful about the direction of my marks. I also don't want to make my marks too scribbly because my hair is straight. If your hair is curly, then scribbly mark making may be the way for you. I use long controlled flicks for my stray hairs, taking care to follow the correct shapes, angles and curves I can see, then build up the rest of the hair from bottom to top. I am now coming on to another important bit, shading the tones on the face. Again, I start with the darkest tones first, which are the bags under my eyes, paying close attention to the shape and holding the pencil flat so you can smoothly cover more space. As I start shading, I think, bloomin' I really haven't had enough sleep, have I? But there's no point in being self-conscious about shading these dark tones. It's really important to make sure that you shade your face using a wide range of tones because you need to make your face look 3D. Otherwise, your face will look as flat as a pancake. After I've shaded in all of the darker tones, I shade a lighter mid-tone across the left side of my face, from where the shadow on the nose starts. This is because the light from the window is hitting my face on the right and the rest of my face on the left-hand side is in the shadow. I then use a folded up bit of kitchen roll to smudge the tones, smoothing them out. You can use a smudge stick or blending tool if you have one at home, but please avoid using your fingers because the natural oils from your skin will ingrain the graphite from the pencil into the page, making it patchy and harder to rub out. I then work back into the midtones with my pencil held flat, picking out some more of the darker tones I can see. Again, I'm paying close attention to the shape of the shadows, making sure I get those accurate. I'm starting to use my rubber here to pick out some of the lighter tones. I've cut off a corner of a larger rubber so I've got a sharp point to work with. I then neaten the edges up by working back into the tones around it with a sharp pencil. I spend a lot of time working back into the darker tones and mid-tones with my pencil, picking out lighter tones and highlights with the rubber, and smudging with my kitchen towel. This is to build up a wide range of tone, to give my image depth, making it look more 3D, and to refine the detail. I need to think about the 3D form of my whole face, especially cheeks, cheekbones, jawline, and chin, building up tone to show depth for these places as well. My portrait is really coming together now. It is important to keep working into the detail with a sharp pencil to refine the image. A portrait isn't just the face. You need to think about your neck and clothes as well. Try not to rush these. This is just as important to observe and get right as your face. Imagine spending all this time on an absolutely amazing portrait and then ruining it with a half-hearted pair of shoulders, clothes, or even worse, a floating head. For the neck and shoulders, it's simply a case of building up tone where you see the shadows on your photo. Shade a bit, smudge, then repeat. You can use your kitchen roll, smudge stick, etc. to carry some of the tone from one part of the drawing to another. This because there's a lot of graphite on your kitchen roll or smudge stick anyway, and so you're just taking it from one place and putting it into another. This will give you a super light, super smooth tone without even having to put your pencil to the page. Watch as I'm drawing my clothes in. I'm focusing on making the shapes as accurate as possible. I'm shading in the shadows, I'm building up the tone, I'm picking out highlights and details. This is all exactly the same as I have done on the rest of my drawing. I'm taking a lot of care and observing closely. I'm now working back into my darkest and lightest tones to show contrast. Remember, your darkest tone should be almost black. Watch how going over my hair transforms my drawing. Lastly, I pick out all of the highlights with a sharp rubber, remembering to work back into the edges and shapes of the tones with a sharp pencil. I am also using my kitchen towel to blend the lighter mid-tones into the highlights.